There is new CNN reporting indicate there are doubts in the intelligence community about how close Iran actually is to getting a weapon. CNN's Zach Cohen has this reporting. He's with us now. What are you learning, Zach?
Yeah, John, there appears to be some daylight between the U.S. intelligence community and Israel, and I guess now Donald Trump, on this question of how close Iran is to obtaining a nuclear weapon. And specifically, sources telling me and our colleague Katie Bo Lillis that the intelligence community assessed before the most recent Israeli strikes that Iran was years away, as much as 3 years away, from not only obtaining a nuclear weapon, but developing the system meant to deliver it at a target of its choosing. And that does really run counter to the more urgent and dire timeline that Israel and Donald Trump have put forward in recent days. Israel, of course, saying, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Iran has been working in secret to develop nuclear weapons over the last several months, and that it's very close to having a nuclear weapon. Donald Trump, of course, addressing this question today when he was asked by reporters about his Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard's testimony in March, where she said that Iran is not actively working towards a nuclear weapon. Take a listen to what Donald Trump said when he was asked this question today.
You've always said that you don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon, but how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
So why does this matter, right? Israel has used this sort of urgent warning about Iran's nuclear program as justification for its latest round of preemptive strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Of course, this big question still hangs over the entire situation as to whether or not Donald Trump and the U.S. will become directly involved in the conflict. Donald Trump has said as recently as today that he wants to dismantle Iran's nuclear program. In order to do so, that will require one of two things, experts tell us, either a negotiated deal or U.S. military strikes.
All right, Zach Cohen, some brand new reporting that fits right in where this story is right now. Appreciate your work on this. Thank you very much. With us now is CNN Global Affairs analyst Brett McGurk. He's a former White House coordinator for the Middle East and North Africa who's been deeply involved in discussions in and around Iran for many, many years. And Brett, what I want to focus on is President Trump headed to the Situation Room this morning. And much of the discussion might be focused around one site in particular, one nuclear site. I just want to put it on the map here so people can see. It's the Fordo nuclear enrichment site. We can push in a little bit to give people a sense of what it looks like, the area looks like. Why is this site so important?
Well, John, I think the president should be in the Situation Room today. The Situation Room was actually created by JFK after the Bay of Pigs fiasco for a situation like this, to provide full spectrum awareness for a president as he has to make critical decisions. And there are three immediate priorities, and one of them is what you just mentioned. But number one, the protection of Americans in the region and the protection of Israel. We have to surge the missile interceptors into Israel. We're doing that. As Nick just said, a very small number of missiles yesterday. It looks like about 10. Can't draw a conclusion yet, but the Israelis are taking out not only the missiles, but the launchers. Very important. Second, you want to contain this conflict to Israel and Iran, not have regional spread. So far, that objective is being met, and I think the signals the administration is putting out are very good. Third, and this gets to your point, you want to keep particularly the Israelis focused on the stated objectives of this military campaign. The stated objectives are dismantling the nuclear program and the missile program. That's it. You want to avoid mission creep. Now, on the nuclear program, there are three main sites, two enrichment sites, one at Natanz, much of which is above ground, some below ground. The Israelis appear to have very effectively targeted that site. The second enrichment facility is an underground facility called Fordo, which you just mentioned. Deep underground, dug into a mountain. It was an undisclosed facility until 2009 when it was discovered by intelligence and announced. Iran has very advanced centrifuges in that facility. Just last week, before this started, they threatened to spin fuel through those advanced centrifuges, enriching just below weapons grade. Now, to take out that Fordo facility, it really takes a U.S. military operation with a B-2 bomber, and you can see our military actually positioning for that possibility. But there's an off-ramp, and the president's made very clear there's a deal on the table. Steve Witkoff, his envoy, put a deal on the table about 6 weeks ago. Iran did not answer that. They actually escalated their program in response. And what the president is saying, the White House is saying, is to Iran, hey, go back and take another look at that. Tell us you're ready to take the deal, and this will be over. So that's where we stand right now. At the end of the day, John, this has to end with Iran's nuclear program dismantled. And Fordo really is the key. It can be a deal, and we can all hope for a deal, or it can be a military operation.
Again, this is another look at Fordo right here. You can see this area right here is where the centrifuges are believed to be buried deep inside the mountain here. And what Brett was just talking about is it's believed that the only way to destroy this is through a U.S. weapon, the B-2 bombers dropping what's called this bunker buster bomb, the GBU-57 here. What do you think that discussion is like, Brett, about whether or not the U.S. should get involved here? Benjamin Netanyahu has all but explicitly said, hey, come on, drop this bomb.
Yeah, I have to say, the U.S. military has trained on this for over a decade. This munition was kind of designed for this purpose. Now look, there have been massive risks about such an operation like this. Number one risk used to be Hezbollah. Hezbollah had 150,000 to 200,000 missiles and rockets aiming at Israel. Hezbollah has been knocked on his back. Number two has been Iranian air defenses. They had Russian air defense systems, very high risk of taking down airplanes. Those are no longer there. So those risks have basically been eliminated. Iran can certainly respond. I would never downplay the risks of any military operation, but I would just say this is a very feasible option. Iran knows it. It's important they know it for the purpose of trying to get a diplomatic resolution to this problem and the problem of Fordo. I think that right now is the main objective, but it takes the military pressure to get Iran to the table and to do that deal. This is really going to unfold here over the next 3 to 4 days. I think it's a very critical period. I'm watching today. Can Iran again muster another missile barrage, or are they really now depleted?
And Brett, you use the term coercive diplomacy. That's what's happening here. What is that exactly?
Well, coercive diplomacy is what this administration, past administrations have used fairly effectively with the Iranians. Number one, economic sanctions, economic pressure, and number two, the threat of a military force if Iran does not demonstrate to the world its program is peaceful. And I just have to say, last week, John, the IAEA issued a report, very comprehensive report. It was asked for last year, and they found Iran to be an egregious failure to live up to its non-proliferation commitments. And 19 countries then voted in the Board of Governors in Vienna in the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, that Iran was in violation of its obligations. First time in 20 years. What did Iran do? It announced escalations of its program, including in that Fordo site. Yeah. So Iran has made terrible choices here, and now the onus is on them to try to come to the table and take the deal that's been offered.
Yeah, next 24 hours, next 48 hours, so crucial. Brett McGurk, thank you so much for helping us understand what's happening probably in the Situation Room as we speak this morning.